I'm pregnant with my son's classmate's child. For this little boyfriend. I gave him my all, spent 200,000. Thought I still had my charm. Until my son hurled his phone at me. That's when I realized. All his tenderness was just to make my son kneel and call him dad. I sat on the leather sofa at home, clutching the hospital bill in my hand. Just last week, I'd undergone a dilation and curettage procedure, commonly known as a mini-month of postpartum recovery. The physical pain hadn't completely subsided, but the gaping hole in my heart will probably never be filled in this lifetime. The woman in the mirror still looks radiant. 42 years old. Running a well-known beauty salon in town. Years of diligent maintenance make me look barely over 30. Skin firm and glowing. The fine lines around my eyes only appearing when I laugh wholeheartedly. But now, I don't even have the strength to curl my lips. This whole absurdity began on that sun-drenched afternoon. I was originally busy at the salon that day, but had to rush home briefly because I'd forgotten a contract. Pushing open the door, the living room TV was on, the coffee table covered with snacks. My son Hao was playing Switch with his college classmate. "Mom, why are you back?" Hao asked casually, eyes glued to the screen. I was about to answer when my gaze landed on the boy sitting next to him. "Hello, Auntie," the boy turned his head and smiled at me. In that instant, I heard my own heart skip a beat. His name was Lin Song, 21 years old, wearing a simple white t-shirt. The sunlight fell on his face, you could even see the fine fuzz. When he smiled, his eyes curved into crescents, carrying a kind of unrestrained, flamboyant youthful energy that my ex-husband never had. I'd been divorced for 5 years by then. My ex-husband complained I didn't prioritize the family, I complained he was incompetent. The arguments led to his affair. The divorce was clean. In recent years, I'd thrown myself into my career, forging myself into iron and steel, thinking I was immune to men. But that day, looking into Lin Song's clear eyes, I felt a long-lost flutter of panic. I grabbed the documents and fled back to the salon. But that whole afternoon, Lin Song's smile was lodged in my brain, impossible to shake. I thought I was being ridiculous. He was only 21. He was my son's classmate. How could I have such thoughts? Not long after, Hao brought him home again. I happened to be off that day. I was in the kitchen cutting fruit, deliberately arranged an exquisite fruit platter. When I carried it out, they'd just gotten out the switch. "Have some water." I handed the cup to Lin Song. Whether intentionally or not, when he took the cup, his fingertips lightly brushed across the back of my hand. At that moment, an electric current shot from my fingertips straight to my scalp. My hand trembled, spilling half the water onto the coffee table. "Mom, what are you doing? So clumsy." Hao muttered a complaint while connecting the switch to the TV, not looking up. My face flushed red as I quickly wiped the table. When I looked up, I met Lin Song's gaze. He was staring at me, with a look in his eyes that held a kind of masculine aggression. That day, he added me on WeChat, said it was so he could conveniently come over for meals later. Actually, that very night, he sent me a message, "Auntie, that dress you wore today was really beautiful." I held my phone, my fingertips burning. Reason told me I should reply with something like "no respect for elders," then block him, or pretend I hadn't seen it. But that night, against my better judgment, I sent back a smiley emoji. After that, Pandora's box was opened. At first, he only found excuses to contact me, asking for skincare advice, or saying he needed to pick up a book for Hao. I always maintained the air of an elder. But he was clever, that particular stubborn persistence of a young boy wasn't off-putting. He started calling me Jia older sister on WeChat. I corrected him a few times, head changed to auntie to my face, but turn around and still call me Jia online, even sending those pitiful puppy dog emojis, saying, "But you look like an older sister. I can't bring myself to call you auntie." What woman doesn't like being told she looks young? Especially at my age. Divorced, single, surrounded only by stale business associates. The real breakthrough came one stormy night. Hao was staying at school, wasn't home. Lin Song messaged saying he was working a part-time job near my salon, didn't have an umbrella, could I possibly give him a lift? I could have refused, or told him to take a taxi. But I let him get in the car. The car became a closed, ambiguous space. He sat in the passenger seat, not joking around like usual, but with his head tilted, staring at my profile as I drove. What are you looking at? Am I that old? I asked, unnerved by his gaze, trying to sound calm. I was thinking, Hao really doesn't know how lucky he is, he said suddenly. I was taken aback. I stepped on the brake at a red light. If it were me, having such a beautiful mom at home, I'd come back every single day. How could I bear to leave you home alone? His voice dropped low, emphasizing the word woman more than mom. The air in the car instantly froze. My breathing quickened, my hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. I should have told him to get out. Should have called him outrageous. But my body felt paralyzed, unable to move. That long-lost feeling of being desired as a woman made me tremble all over. He said his dormitory was locked. I drove him to the entrance of a hotel near his school. He didn't get out. The first time I saw you, I never saw you as an elder. He suddenly unbuckled his seatbelt and leaned towards me. His warmth rushed to my face. He reached out, covering my hand that rested on the gearshift. His palm was burning. I want to take care of you. Not like a son. Like a man. Those words were like a spark falling into my grassland that had lain dry for years. I looked into his eyes, full of desire and what seemed like sincerity, and the defenses in my heart crumbled. I told myself, just once. No one will know anyway. I've worked hard all my life, why can't I indulge once? I'm just a woman who craves love too. That night, I didn't let him get out. Instead, I drove the car into that hotel's underground parking garage. We crossed that moral red line together. To avoid Hao, and to avoid anyone we knew, we met only in hotels. Although I was 42, whether in figure or charm, I was confident I could rival any young girl. Lin Song had a way with words, sweet-talking and coaxing. The feeling of being in love he gave me was something I wouldn't have dared to dream of in my previous stale marriage. I knew he had no money, college student, after all, with a limited allowance. I felt for him, and also felt that since I was so much older, I shouldn't let him lack materially. Over that year plus, the latest sneakers, a high-spec computer, expensive clothes, if he so much as glanced at something twice, I bought it. Every time we met, the meals, the hotel, the expenses for going out, I paid for everything. I even transferred him a few thousand yuan a couple of times as pocket money. Roughly calculating, in that year, I spent no less than 200,000 on him. I'd thought about ending it. Whenever I saw Hao mention Lin Song at the dinner table, saying things like that Lin Song guy must have come into some money lately, all branded stuff, my guilt would make me unable to lift my head. But quitting someone is harder than quitting drugs. Until 2 months ago. I realized my period hadn't come. Went to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor told me I was 6 weeks pregnant. In that instant, I felt like I'd fallen into an icy abyss. Giving birth? Impossible. Not to mention my age, just the identity of the father would ruin me socially. I scheduled the procedure and secretly terminated the pregnancy. On the 3rd day after the surgery, I was lying in the bedroom taking a nap. Hao had no classes that day and suddenly came home to get his winter clothes. My phone was charging in the living room. A message from Lin Song popped up at the worst possible moment. No contact name saved, but the content was shocking. Baby, are you feeling better? Abortions really take a lot out of you. You take good care of yourself during this mini-month. I'll come see you in a couple of days. Hao was standing at the bedroom door holding my phone, like a stone statue. I woke up and saw him, still forcing a weak smile. Hao, what's wrong? Hao's hands were shaking. He held the phone screen up to my face, his voice hoarse. Mom, who is this? My mind went blank. I tried to grab the phone, but he dodged me. He clicked on the profile picture, and along with it, those unbearable chat logs, even our hotel photos from before, all of it flashed up. At that moment, my dignity as a mother shattered into pieces. How looked at me, his expression shifting from shock to disgust, finally settling into utter rage. He hurled the phone onto the carpet, screaming hysterically, him? How could it possibly be him? Mom, do you know, in the dorm he constantly makes jokes at my expense, slaps me on the shoulder and says he wants to hear me call him Dad. I thought it was just guys messing around, some kind of joke. I thought he was teasing me. It was real all along. He's been watching me make a fool of myself this whole time. My son's words were like a sharp knife, stabbing straight through my heart. Forgetting my physical weakness, I knelt on the bed and grabbed his hand. I'm sorry. How violently shook me off, his eyes full of loathing. Don't touch me. You make me sick. After that day, How moved back to the school dormitory and never came home again. I broke things off with Lin Kong. When I ended it, he seemed a bit reluctant, messaging me, "Yeah, I really did like you. The kid's gone, but we can still be together, right?" Looking at those words, I felt nothing but irony. Like me? It was just craving the material things I provided and the vanity and thrill that twisted, stimulating relationship gave him. I blocked him on everything. A couple of days ago, I sent How a message, transferred him 10,000 yuan for living expenses, cautiously asked if he'd come home for the weekend to have some soup. He accepted the money, but the reply was only 2 words, "Not coming." I stared at that cold screen, and finally, the tears fell. I thought I was just having a belated romance. Thought that if I hid it well enough, I could steal a little sweetness in my tedious middle age. Thought that with my money and looks, I could control everything. But I forgot, the gifts destiny gives always come with a price tag attached. I spent 200,000 buying a fantasy of youth. When I woke up, I'd lost the most precious familial bond of my life. If I could turn back time to that afternoon, I would never have gone home to get that contract. I would rather forever just be that busy salon owner. Lonely, perhaps, but innocent. Even if wrinkles appeared at the corners of my eyes. At least my son would still smile and call me Mom.